thank you for inviting us into your home. Beautiful
thanks for
home.
coming.
Beautiful home. Inspiring car collection. I'll say that. We have to get a couple clips of that.
Oh, sure.
But we just got done looking at your operation, and man, again, it's things that a lot of people strive to achieve and strive to be like. But I know after talking with you, and we've had a lot of good experiences, good stories together. I know it didn't start that way for you.
No, not hardly. I mean,
you didn't come from you didn't already have this growing up, or you did. What did the beginning look like? I know that there's a pretty pivotal point in your career that could have took a pretty bad turn.
Oh yeah. So and I know you know this, but I'm a recovering drug addict and alcoholic, and I spent the majority of my life high, drunk, something. It was funny. I sobered up in 2017. And I had done a lot of these classes, kind of like I did with you even before that. I did my first one, I think, in 2013 for the OptiCoat guys, and then I did in 2014, and I was doing sales classes for detailers for a long time. And I remember in 2017, the first detail class I did, I was like, "Hey guys, I know every time you've ever met me, you guys always wondered, am I on something?" It's like, "Is he on something?" And then you'd meet me again year after year, and you'd be like, "Oh, I guess that's just how he is." No, I was on something. So, I remember I got this big laugh, and it was so crazy, because I just got chills thinking about it. The first time I got to speak after sobering up was it was exactly 1 year. It was literally to the day 1 year of my sobriety, which was great. But yeah, starting the business, I started at a car wash. I was telling you that I moved to California because I was doing stupid stuff. When you're in addiction, you try to run away, and I tried to run away, but I brought me with me. That's a problem. It's a problem. I brought me with me, so it didn't take me long to get kind of back on that road. But I did well for a while, and I learned that I really loved detailing cars. I was working at a car wash in Walnut Creek for $10 an hour and sleeping on my dad's couch. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. And I found I had this knack for cleaning cars because, I was telling you, I was the sales guy there. So I knew what customers would complain about. So I had an edge. I had an insight because I knew what they saw, right? And I realized that a lot of times customers don't see this perfectly corrected paint, but they do see that you didn't clean their mirror visor, or that there's water droplets here or something like that. So it gave me this eye for being really, no pun intended, OCD about the way I was detailing cars. It was that's where it all came from. Maybe it was less OCD and more fear of getting yelled at. I just because we were right next to this retirement community, and old people, they don't care. They're ruthless. They'll come over and hit you with their cane if their car's not right. It was just brutal. It was hard on my psyche every day. So I just didn't want that to happen. So then I started detailing and realized I really liked it. And I went from there to a guy approached me who wanted to open a detail shop. And I opened a detail shop with him. And when I opened a detail shop with him, I took this brand new business from nothing to, in 2 years, we were doing almost $1 million a year. And it was out of one bay. Literally, there was just one detail bay and one wash bay. And that's it. We were washing cars and detailing them. I remember at the time, I loved doing what a full service car wash. We had them for $35, but I loved doing a clay bar and wax because there was this stuff called Hydro. Did you ever play with CarPro Hydro? The spray on, spray off, and it's
I did. I mean, a long time ago I did.
Yeah, I mean, we're so past that on tech, right? But yeah. I love that because you would do this extra 5 minutes and you would get an extra $100 out of it. And we were doing 10 or 12 of those a day, and it was just so fast, right? Because we're already washing the cars and people had that on. It was great. It was really easy, and then my girlfriend at the time got pregnant, and we were living in an in-law unit. I swear to this day, I wouldn't have moved. I would have never moved had that not happened. Probably I might still live there because we had this entire bottom 2 floors of this house. It was on a hill in Orinda, and the owners were always out of town, and they would pay us to watch their dogs. So we essentially got paid to live there.
Oh wow!
Beautiful. Yeah, beautiful area. Yeah, it was great too. Orinda's so nice, and I don't know, 5 months into pregnancy, they're hey, we noticed you're pregnant. We don't want a baby here. So I was oh shit, and I was doing the math on how much money I was making. I'm okay, if I subtract the baby, and I don't know if this is gonna work out for me, but so I ended up opening OCDetailing, and basically what happened was I rented a little space with one of my buddies in Walnut Creek who owned a stereo shop. I kind of shared space with him, and I did that for 2 years, and I worked my ass off. I worked 7 days a week. I skip holidays. I actually lost that relationship over those working habits.
Oh wow.
Like yeah, that's a big attribute to it. Also, too, you can't work those kind of hours. Like I would work like 3 or 4 days on end with no sleep and stuff without being on something. Like I don't think it's possible, physically possible. And me, I was taking a lot of pills, like tons of painkillers. Like I have ADHD, so stimulants make me drowsy, downers make me hyper. So
Yeah.
it's like it's weird. I drink coffee and I get calm. Like
you can focus.
it
you
calms
calm
me down.
a
It
little
focuses
bit.
me,
Oh,
right? Like
man.
it's like I actually feel. I can't say that, but I feel not as mentally sharp towards the end of that. Like before I lost the family and when I had moved over here to Fremont, the shop you guys just saw. I spent about another year there working that crazy schedule and doing crazy things, and it got really bad for me. Like I lived a couple months in hell. And I almost died. And you guys met Anthony today. He was kind of walking around in the shop, like smiling and stuff. Like I was so blessed to have that guy in my life because I had to go somewhere. I had to go get treatment. And when I went, Anthony ran the shop for me, right? Because it's like he stayed there for like 60 days. And I gave him my cell phone when I left. I was off grid for 30 days. And then I came back and I didn't want to die. Like I really didn't want to die, and I didn't want to live in that hell I was in. Like it's hard to describe to somebody who's never experienced it. But if you experience addiction, it sucks. But if you're aware of it, it's hell. And then after you get sober, you become self-aware. If you're doing it the way I did, and you need to really focus on like what's important to you in life, and the things that matter to me more than anything are. My family, obviously, myself. Well, you got to be selfish, right? Like I have to be super aware of the fact that I have this demon inside of me that could just be asleep right now, right? I don't know if it's gone. Like I've made it 6 years, but could be tomorrow. Today could be my day, right? So I have to constantly work on myself and improve and be conscious of the things that I do and my actions and behaviors. And I don't want to live with guilt. And this all ties back to like my family and my business. I don't ever want to fuck a customer over. I don't ever want to screw over anybody with my friends. I always want to do what I say I'm going to do. I don't want to lie. And that's been monstrous in the way that my business has functioned and the growth year over year. And like everything has just been the same principle. It's never about the money. It's always about doing the right thing. Take care of your customers, take care of your employees, take care of yourself, take care of your family. And I take that mentality to my guys. Like, I'm blessed. My house looks like this, but I've got 3 employees that have houses that look just like this, and they have
awesome.
They have car collections that look just like mine. They got watches that look just like. I don't wear my watches at work. Mike was showing. I was seeing videos. I'm like, how does he wear that at work? He's gonna hit a car with it. He's like, I only work on cars on video. That's I'm managing my businesses, but and I feel blessed when I think about that I get to influence and impact people's lives that way. So it's been great, and I'm super happy you guys are here. And you invited me back to speak even after last year. You told me I could do it though, so
I cannot wait to hear what you bring to the Auto Film Growth Conference stage this year.
There's something everybody see your success, but they don't see like the speed bump going up there. And there was something you talk about, and we all face this when we're growing like this. When you're growing, there's gonna be something you have to do, or you're not gonna make money. I remember you were saying you made $450,000 a month, and you made no money.
yeah.
So can we talk about that, because this is the phase.
I know what that was.
I'm always telling guys.
Like
Like
2019.
they're like stuck at maybe 400 or 200,000, and they can't get to 6 or can't get to 8, and the guys that are 8 can't get to 1 and 2. There's always a speed bump, and we have to overcome that to get to the next level. I mean, can you talk about that? Like $450,000 a month is a lot of money. You would think you'd take home like at least 100,000.
You would think.
Yeah. But what did you do? What was the problem why you didn't make money, and what did you do to make sure you was profitable after that?
So my big problem the thing that I did wrong was I incentivized the employees too much. So this is where this all came about. Like, so in 2017 I sobered up. Right before that, I mean, we had a lot of $100,000 months here and there, 120, 130. And I remember the goal for a long time was like 150, right? And we did that a couple months after I got back from rehab, and then the goal after that was like 175, and then we did that a few months later, and I'm like, oh, this is cool. And then, and then we got stuck at like 200 for a little bit. And, we did this just with some efficiency stuff and like, just sales, really, really important, focus on marketing. We started doing videos a lot, that helped. But I was trying to, because I started making money, right? Like I started, even at these like 175, 200K numbers, I was making more money than I felt was justified for myself to not be compensating the employees. So I wanted to set up this bonus program for the guys, like to incentivize them to work more. And I'll I could talk about why I think bonus programs and incentivized pay are horrible ideas now. I can tell you my experience with it, but I would rather just pay the guys a really high salary and let them be really happy with it. But because the bonus program I set up, it incrementally increased every $25,000. So the guys would get like an extra, 0.1% or 0.25%. When I set this up, I never expected to exceed $300,000. Like in my head, there was no physical way with the space I had, confines, employees. There was just no way I could imagine it going over 300K. And at the maximum at 300K, like the guys were all they were almost getting another paycheck. Like, so it was like, say you worked whatever it was, I'll just use a round number. Like say you made $20 an hour for a week, that's $800. You would get an $800 bonus check. It's awesome, right? And we set it up that way on purpose. I wanted to give back to the guys. Like I was so happy to do it, right? These guys without them, we couldn't be doing this. And I was making a lot of money that I liked. So, well, here's what happened is like the guys, they're now incentivized to work faster and work harder. And we had stops in place, like if quality things came back and stuff like that, right? Like you have to. You can't just incentivize the guys and then not dingle them if you have something come back. So everything was going really well. Well, it wasn't even like, let's see, this was beginning of 2018 when I did this. So by the middle of 2019, that month you're talking about was July 2019. I'll never forget that. So at the end of July 2019, I remember the last day of the month, me and Alex were sitting there and I was like, what's the numbers? He's like, when those two cars leave, we're going to hit 450. And I'm like, what the? Yes!
Oh, man.
Oh, my God!
Wow.
This is amazing!
First time.
Yeah. And like the way we did our bonus structure was we paid it once a month, right? So the bonus structure was paid at the end of the month. It was that payroll though on the 5th. Okay, so I had credit card bills, normal bills, and then because I still increased the bonus over the 300 to 325 to 350 to up to 450. They hit 450, so they had this. Now remember I told you at 300 it doubled their paychecks.
Right.
So now my payroll that was normally $110,000 a month was almost $200,000. And you can't go in and tell the guys, I'm not paying you this. Because I was celebrating with them. I was like, whoa, we're doing it. Come on, guys, get this car out. Come on. Let's get this car out. You guys are going to hit 450. Everyone's super happy, right? These guys all got astronomical paychecks. And then, and you know this, when you're running that kind of numbers to the shop, you may not notice something like this because you may not notice that you lost money till like a month later when your books are done. Or something felt off to me because I look at my bank account and stuff, and like after everything was paid and like I had a credit card bill coming up for, like a couple $100,000, I'm like, how does this make sense? I was like, what is it? I'm doing some math here. And I'm like, I'm adding my bills up in my head at $490,000. And I'm like, how do I have $500,000 in bills? We did 450. I should be.
So you're 40 under.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm talking to my business partner and I'm like, hey, Mike, I think we lost money last month. And he's like, no, we did great. And I was like, are you sure? I was like, I don't think so. Like, and he was like, no. It was 450. It was great. And then when it was all the smoke was cleared and settled and everything was done, yeah, we paid out $490,000 that month on the best month we'd ever had. And like prior to that, we had only done $375 one month. So we jumped $75,000 in a month and lost $40,000.
Wow.
Yeah. So now I'm like, okay, now it's capable of us doing this. September, we did almost the same thing. And I knew that now, like at the beginning of September, I'm like, or at the beginning of September, I'm aware of this problem, right? So in August, we paid out this huge bonus again because the guys did like 425. It was a little bit less, but still about the same. And I was like, I know I probably just lost money, but how do I tell the guys? How do I crush these employees that, okay, I'm sorry. And it sucked. I lost 3 really good employees over this. It was a fight. Like I had to gather everyone up in the shop and tell them that I messed up. And I was like, guys, I really this up. I'm so sorry. Like and I came from the right place doing it, but hey man, you can't walk into the shop every day and give the guys cookies and then show up one day without a cookie because they're going to wonder where their cookie is.
No, I mean, that's hard. No, that's hard.
It was. I was crying. Like I was like in tears over this, but I couldn't do it again. I mean, how many times can you lose 40 grand in a month? Like you go broke fast. You'd be like, okay, I can do this a few times, but not many, right? And then and then also, you as business owners, you pay yourself and you stash away money and you try to be as responsible as you can. But yeah, I'm sure you've had to do it before. It never feels good to take money back out of your pocket and put it back into the business, right? Ideally, once you're up and rolling, you don't have to do that. And if I would have kept paying these bonuses out, I would have. So you weigh your option to go, do I tell everybody and hope for the best? And then I had to adjust it. And then these guys who had been used to these huge checks, like that same scenario, that $800 check in 1 week was now $2,500 or $2,400 or even $2,000. This guy's like, woo!
Wow.
Like I'm rich. It's like I'm making $2,000 a week. I remember my holy grail was $1,000 a week. I was so happy to make $1,000. Then it was like $1,500 and $2,000, so forth. So I remember what it felt like. So I know that those guys, they took it pretty hard. And like I said, I lost some employees over it. I got some big resentments over it. But what I put in place instead was I do annual reviews for the guys, and at minimum they'll get an inflation raise. And that's basically you show up and do what you're supposed to, and you'll get an inflation raise. And that's my promise to the guys. And we do benefits and paid vacations, and retirement plans, and a bunch of stuff I wasn't doing then.
Right.
That help. And like the guys, when they take vacations, we pay them, and then we give them a bonus anytime they go on vacation. We're like, here, not only are you going on vacation, here's $1,000. Go have all the fun. Like, do whatever you want. And that was one way we kind of made up for some of that, but to get the profitability back under control, right? Because you can't not be profitable. And I had to tell the guys that. I was like, guys, you might enjoy this for another month or two, but then when the company goes out of business, what are you going to do? And they're like, they were pissed, right? Like they're still mad. So that changed the whole way I started looking at numbers too. And also it made me a lot more focused on keeping track of my books, because you kind of let that stuff go on autopilot. Like you have bookkeepers and stuff. Yeah. And you don't think about it, right? You're whatever, expense this, expense that. And then when your numbers get so high, like you start getting numb. Like I know my American Express bill is like $300,000 sometimes. Like when you pay that every month, you are numb to $1,000 here, $2,000 here, right. $5,000 here. It just feels like everything costs that much, right? But if you start drilling down and keeping track of those things, it was amazing. When I went through the shop and just started keeping track of my film, oh my God, I saved 10, 15 grand a month. That's like, it's really just by making the guys catalog how much film they're using, right? So I know when we were at the shop, you guys saw the big screens everywhere.
Right.
The guys write down when they use film. That's tracked. Like so if you print off 10 feet of PPF, that goes onto that sheet and it goes into where we're tracking it. So we know, right? And the reason that's important is it tells us that, one, if the guys are making mistakes, which is okay, but if someone's making enough mistakes, like my tinter was, Mike, hey, can you come help? Yeah. Please, my tinter keeps burning film. Right. I need to address this. Or I have a veteran enough installer. That guy, Hugo and Ryan, those guys are beasts. Anthony too. Like, so if I'm training a new installer and they keep messing up, I can hey, go work with him. Please, we can see it right here by your film tracking that you're wasting a lot of film. I know you don't like redoing this stuff. It's frustrating for you. It's demoralizing. And also you're costing us a bunch of money. That goes so quick, right? And so, what I would consider my biggest weakness and the biggest thing I'm working on is being a little more hands-off on the shop, because I just want to be the sales guy.
Yeah, I mean, you're an extremely hands-on business owner, and I think that your story is extremely inspirational. I mean, we're sitting here with someone that owns one of the largest operations in our industry on the West Coast, not just California, but on the West Coast in general. But it just didn't pop up. It wasn't handed to you. I mean, you came from a really challenging time with drug addiction. You talk about almost dying on the table. That was a different story. And then now you came back from that, and then you made some business mistakes, learned from that, and now it's just morphed into this massive operation. If you were to look back, would you have changed anything, or is there anything that you would recommend to people coming in nowadays? What should they do so they can kind of get that shortcut? And
when it's you and one person, act like it's a ginormous business. Like act like you have 20 employees. Just set everything up in advance, knowing that you're going to have 20 employees. Because when you go through the learning curve of having to set up those systems and stuff, it costs you so much money. Like it's so much money, so much time, so much frustration. But if from day one, when me and Ryan started, when it was just me and Ryan, if we would have had a spreadsheet and signed off on accountability, and that's just what we do.
Accountability.
Yeah, that's just what we do. It's like, it would have been really easy as new guys came in, because once you have employees coming in, you start, you get the ball rolling, you're busy. Now you need to be on your phone.
You already have the whole system set up.
You have the whole system set up.
And they just plug in the dominoes.
Yeah, and if you don't have that system set up, have you heard the saying, try to teach an old dog new tricks?
Yeah.
Now, why don't you have a guy work with you for 2 or 3 years who hasn't been doing this, and all of a sudden tell him, I need you to sign off on everything you do?
Yeah, that's harder.
What? That is very hard.
What do you mean on this? I haven't done that for years. There's been a problem. Why do I need to do it now? Hey, I need to track your film use.
So let me ask you this, Joe. So what for the guys who are trying to strive to become an OC detailer, to become a bigger shop or expand or get their second location, maybe their third location, get their first manager in play, maybe get their first salesperson in play. What are the Rolodex of skills that you think are the top 3? Let's say, what are the top 3 skills that you think that they should really hone in and focus on? Sales,
marketing, and then I would say people management. But I say that one with a caveat, because if you are a really good sales guy or a really good technician and you're also the business owner, do what you love. Hire someone else to be that manager.
Right.
Hire someone else.
Do what you love.
And I talk to guys a lot too. I do a fair amount of consulting with other businesses, and when I see the smaller shops, they're like, what should I do? And I'm like, everybody has the exact same fear when I tell them this. I'm like, you need to hire somebody to answer your phones for you. And you need to have that person. If you don't have them answering phones, if they're not doing it all the time, that's okay. Give them a cell phone and have them post just religiously on every social media platform they can. They have them do that, and that same phone will ring. So if the phone rings, they stop what they're doing, they answer it, they talk to the customer, and they give them their undivided attention, and then they go back to promoting you doing something. Because if that's not your role, if you want to be a technician, that's fine. Hire someone else to do the things you don't want to do. I hate paperwork and stuff, so I have someone else that does that. I'm not a huge fan of, I'm not very organized. I'm like ADHD, it's so hard for me to focus. It's not hard for me to hyper-focus on one thing. If I have one thing set in my mind, that's easy. But to multitask, I don't believe there's such a thing as multitasking. For me personally, it's impossible. I can only pick one thing at a time, and I can do it, and I have to do that and finish and then go to the next thing, which leaves me a lot of room to drop stuff. So I hire Alex. Alex can juggle 15 balls, and he's just laser sharp on everything, because he's so, I can tell myself I'm going to take notes for everything, right? And I'll be really good about it until I'm not. And then what do you do, right? But how easy is it for me to walk in and say, hey, Alex, Maddie, put this and this on the calendar? I see the calendar every day. I know the calendar's there. I knew you guys were coming today. I was ready for you guys to come. So, because it was on the calendar.
Love it.
If I didn't leave it on the calendar, you guys would have showed up, and I'm like, huh. Oh, I forgot about this. Hi, guys. Welcome.
I mean, it's so on brand for you, too. I mean, very precise. I mean, just such an amazing, genuine person. I feel that, again, you've been genuine and open with us this whole entire trip. Thank you for the time at your shop. Thank you for inviting us to your beautiful home.
Oh, thanks for coming.
It's inspiring. I know I'll share this one thing with you, and then I want to kind of transition into the growth conference, because we're a little bit short on time. But your story kind of resonates with me. My side of my family, there's a big background in alcohol and drug abuse as well. And just seeing how you've been able to just dodge every bullet, take every bullet, overcome it, find a way to get around it, over it, or under it. I can't wait to see what you have in the future. So what's your goal right now? Do you mind sharing your goal right now, or what you're thinking about doing in the future?
My biggest focus is right now it's on the shop being a little more efficient without me being so hands-on. And I'm working really hard on that, because I have some other business ideas that I'm working on too, and it's but it's a fine balance, because I'm very comfortable. It's hard. You get complacent real quick, so that happens, right? But I've been so blessed that, and then I love my wife, and we have a young child, and I have my little girl and stuff, and I love spending time with them, right? And I don't get to do that enough. So I have some other business ideas that I'm working on that are a little more passive and not nearly as hands-on as this.
Awesome.
But I also find that I'm not putting as much effort into those as I should, because I spend so much time at OCDetailing, because I love it so much. I don't want to Like, I love my shop. I love my guys. Like
You said, do what you love.
Yeah.
Do what you love.
Yeah.
Get rid of the rest.
Yeah, be there, hang out with the guys. It's so cool for me, right? Because my days,
good.
I'm not polishing cars all day anymore. I'm hanging out with people and doing sales all day. It's great. It's fun. It's like it has its moments, but most of the time I'm having a lot of fun. So
sales. We've talked about sales off and on all day today. I've been waiting for this. You stepped on stage at Autofilm Mastery's Autofilm Growth Conference last year, right before SEMA. We've announced that you're speaking again this year. You're our first speaker that we're announcing. You were the most popular speaker last year. We walked around SEMA and asked at least 24 people.
Yeah.
At least 24 people. Hey, who's your favorite speaker? Who's your favorite? Joe. Yeah. And then some other choice words. We're not going to talk about that now. But you absolutely crushed it on stage. I mean, a round of applause. I mean, basically a standing ovation. How was that last year? What did you feel last year?
It was so cool, man. I love doing that stuff. I love helping people. I love talking to people. And you guys, even though I gave you the full discretion, like you remember I put up a warning thing that you see.
You did.
I was like, I just want to warn you. This is what
I mean, he gave everybody a choice of if they wanted.
A disclaimer.
I mean, I just think everybody gravitate to you. I mean, your story is, you grew up in Oklahoma. You face a lot of challenges, and the challenges that we all face as business owners, you just put it out there, was very honest about it. Not a lot of people is going to tell somebody that they're addicted to drugs.
They won't be that transparent. They won't be that transparent.
Yeah. So just for you to do that, that's what gravitate, because we all want to learn from that. Like, I want to learn the mistakes that you made. Like, I'm always asking somebody, like, can you tell me, I know you're making this much money, but there's some mistakes. And those are the mistakes that I don't want to make. And if I could learn from you, or how did you overcome those mistakes? How do you stop from making those mistakes? Those are really very, very important stuff that when you're trying to grow, there's going to be speed bump all along the way. When you're making 200, trying to go to 400, 600, 800, 1.2, 2 million, 3 billion, there's going to be something, and we all want to, overcome those hurdles, and you talk about it. That's what's pretty awesome.
Well, I want to spend some time talking about that at the growth conference too. I'll just say, it's funny. I told you I make notes, like, right? Anytime I get to do a speaking thing, just before I do it, I'll write down, like, I'll have thoughts pop in my head. I'm like, I need to write a note for this. One of mine is whack-a-mole. So you guys know the game whack-a-mole, right? It pops up, you hit it. It pops up, you hit it. Every business owner I know plays whack-a-mole. What if you just unplug the machine? The moles stop coming, right? Well, do I keep hitting this thing? Like, do I keep hitting these? And it makes a lot of business owners are reactive. And I'm really bad about this, but I've learned this about myself. So now, for overcoming things like, and I'm blessed. I know people like you, right? You hear things you say, and like I learned so much from you as far as like setting up a shop and being efficient and getting the guys to have everything they need right there. And like, as much as I don't know how much you notice you influence the shop, but everyone's using your squeegees and all your carts are everywhere. Like, so they've made a huge difference. But I'm going to talk about it at the growth conference, and I see we're running out of time there. But it's like to focus on fixing solutions rather than just whacking them.
Fix the
Makes a big difference. Like, unplug the machine, stop hitting the mole, stop the source.
So now, last year, what would you say was the highlight, or what speaker did you enjoy the most from last year's conference?
Oh man, I loved hearing Mike. I liked hearing Mike's take on sales because we both did sales together, so it was cool. We delivered a lot of the same information, so it was like I really like his systematic approach from it, where he's using sales scripts and stuff like that, which works really well too. And I implemented that too, right? Like I implemented a lot of that for my guys. Like I set them down. I was like, this is how you say this, this, and this. This is the questions you ask. This is the sales procedure you should be doing. And I took Maddie, a new employee, and I got her up to par where she's able to sell and close deals like within a month doing that, right? Where before I would listen to them and critique them, and I'm going to hit the mole and be like, oh, you suck.
So for those who didn't attend the growth conference last year, can you kind of summarize what you talked about? Like, what are those key points, the key strategies, key thought processes?
The biggest thing I see people make a mistake at is they don't build value when they're given a price. So anytime you're about to give a price, you have to build value prior to doing that, or you're just another person that they called, and it's like
they just rush to give a price, and then they get pissed off when they don't buy $2,000 worth of film in the first 2 minutes on a call.
Right.
Their first 2 minutes of knowing you.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, damn them.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that cheap Here, click. Sorry, that was last year's growth conference. I mean, that cheap individual. This is his year's. They asked me for a PG version.
So no, we got to talk about it. The elephant in the room. Last year was just rated R, right? Are you going to bring that this year?
A little toned down.
A little bit toned down?
A little bit toned down, but I'll still be me.
You're still going to be me?
I'll still be me.
That's going to be awesome. So I can't wait. I mean, we were super excited to ask you to come back and super happy to have you come back again. We know that you're going to shut the house down. This year it's going to be 2 days. Yeah. It's going to be 2 days. There's going to be twice as much information, twice the amount of speakers. We're hopefully going to pack the room and have twice as much.
Oh, that's awesome.
The cool thing about it is it doesn't matter what stage in your business you're at, doesn't matter where you're from. You could be in a different country, different state, different film, different brands. You could be on the same block. This is meant to bring the whole industry together so everybody can help grow and elevate the whole entire industry.
I love you guys for doing that too, because so you get so many people that are so secretive and they don't want to be friends with their competitors, but if we're all on the same page, there's enough cars for all of us.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It makes it better for everybody. If everyone's competing on quality and similar price, it's like, that's great. Then it comes down to who's got more time. Like, oh, okay, well, I'll just go to the other shop, and that's fine. They could do that, right? But you'll still get enough business because you guys are all playing on the same playbook, which is, nobody else would have done what you guys did with that. And I love that about the Growth Conference. Because
Thank you.
I mean, you guys had you had Ryan and you had Phil, you had all these guys that are just absolute beasts. And like, I love my shop and I know it's great, but you look at these guys and I'm like, holy shit, or Mike, like his operation's insane. And you got all these guys giving away information to everybody and bringing people together. It's great.
If we all want this growth phase we're going through, this momentum that we're building to continue in this industry, if we want this industry to ascend to the next level, we have to start communicating.
We do.
We have to start opening up Pandora's box and going through Narnia's gate and figuring out what's happening, right?
I mean, the way I look at it, and we just hire another guy that came from something with the automotive. I mean, doing something not mechanic, but PPF and the way window tint is going is the highest pay as a technician, as a service, and everything else. But you have mechanic, and they are certified. I mean, that's what different industry like HVAC and stuff like that to even work on your car. And the PPF industry don't have that. And what AFM want to bring to the table is a higher education to help you with from installation to operating your business with just all of us. I mean, just Joe, Ryan, everybody else, myself, helping everybody to take the business from operating our garage to having a shop to maybe a multi-seven-figure shop, and that's and we got to work together in helping everybody educate instead of just throwing him out there and all of a sudden he don't know how to price a food front and he's at 1,200 destroying the industry instead of helping. And we need to help him to be able to charge a national average price for PPF no matter where you're at. I mean,
100%.
Right now it might be give and take 2,000, it just depending where you're at. And you want to make sure they're successful charging that, because if they're not, guess what's going to happen? They're going to charge 1,200, and then if you have 100 people charging 1,200 and 10 people charging 2,000, I mean, just the client will just wave to that. I mean, no matter how good you are of selling paint protection film, it's just too many people doing it for so low. So it's our job to make sure we can educate everybody. Help.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but I love what you're saying right there, because it goes back to the number one problem Joe sees, which is the lack of building value. You don't have to sell on price.
Yeah.
I think that's a big part of what you're saying. You don't have to sell on price. You don't have to be the cheapest guy. You can increase value. You can keep the market. You can keep growing your service and ask for that around that plus or minus 2,000 like you're talking about.
Well, so when you build value, when you build value prior to asking for a price, customers are more likely to say yes because they understand what you're doing different than that guy charging $1,200. So maybe they hear what you say and they go, wow, you're a lot higher than everybody else. But by far and away, presentation, value, everything else that I heard from you, I feel more comfortable with you having my car.
Yeah, and you guys know I help shops all over the country with marketing, especially with PPF. And number one thing I always tell them is it's rarely a price concern. It's most often a value issue. It's a lack of value. It's not a price issue. It's a lack of value. I can't wait to hear what you say this year.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. Thanks for inviting me back.
I can't wait. I can't wait. If you haven't got your tickets yet, go to autofilmmastery.com and you got to sign up for the Growth Conference.
Yeah.
It's going to be a good time.
SEMA.
Yeah, right before SEMA.
Rated PG-R-ish.
PTRs. There's going to be a little hint of last year's show,
A little
right?
R-ish. Yeah, a little bit.
So any message you want for the viewers, anything you want for the Autofilm Mastery community to know about this year's Growth Conference?
Oh, it's going to be a banger. It'll be great. Like, I've been putting together notes. I actually didn't know they were going to invite me back, but I had a feeling maybe. So I've been putting together notes since I left last year. So I'm ready. It'll be great.
I mean, this is to the view. I mean, if you've never been to SEMA, and I always tell somebody this, you'll increase your business, period, just by going to SEMA. Like, I think one year, my first year going to SEMA, I increased my business by 40% because I added a new service. I was educated about a few other things that I was able to. So if you've never been to SEMA, this is your chance, and join the Autofilm Mastery Business Growth Conference while you're there.
Why are you pointing at me, man? This is
all-
that's all Mike Nord.
Yeah.
He's the
I mean,
visionary.
our goal is to make sure we you can't skip any step in this process, but you can speed it up, and we're here to help you speed it up.
That's so true. Speed it up. It's like you can actually you could step over the speed bumps that we fell over.
There you go. There it is.
I mean, if you're trying to go to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you want to skip some step and go to 8, 9, it'll haunt you. That 7, 8, or 6, 7 steps that you try to skip or you did skip, it'll come back and haunt you somewhere along the line. Maybe a few years from now, maybe when you're doing 400,000 or something, or maybe you're installing and you want it to go straight to this, it'll haunt you somewhere.